There you go. So Don, we're talking about the Moby Grape now.
Yeah, the Moby Grape was one of the greatest bands that ever existed that nobody hears about nowadays, because I believe their recordings never really came up to the level of their playing and singing when they were playing live. Just a terrific band, 5-part vocal harmony, playing music like the Beatles, maybe on speed a little bit, just kind of revved up Beatles with huge harmonies. All of them wrote, 3 guitar players, Bob Mosley on bass, who sang like B.B. King and played bass like the best bass player you've ever heard. This band was too good to last, really. But one funny story about them, the spirit, they just had such a rambunctious, rebellious spirit, which I always admired, and they could really light up an auditorium, that's for sure. One night, I recall, we went to see a great bill. Morning Glory opened up, I believe, and then Quicksilver played. Oh no, then Quicksilver played. Then Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Moby Grape, and then Jefferson Airplane was the headliners. And so Quicksilver played just a killer set, and it was time for the Grape to show up and play. But they weren't there. Nobody knew where they were, and the crowd was getting impatient. So they decided, the promoter decided that they were going to put Jefferson Airplane on anyway, the headliners, even though it was Grape's turn to play. So they got all the Airplane's equipment up on stage, had all the amps turned on, and even had the guitars plugged in and everything. And the Grape finally shows up out of nowhere. And they show up to the stage, and the promoter says, "Well, I'm sorry, man, you guys were late. The contract says you were supposed to play at 10:30, and you never showed up, so I'm sorry, but the Airplane's going to play." And Moby Grape said, "Fuck you. They're not playing. We're playing." And before anybody could stop them, the police or anybody, they jumped up on stage and grabbed all the instruments and just started playing their set. And the crowd was just completely blown away from the first measure of music. And at that point, the promoter, if he knew what was going on, he decided not to stop them, because there was going to be a riot if they stopped them. And they just killed on their set. I mean, it was unbelievable. And so that was my first introduction to Moby Grape. The spirit and the spunk that they showed was just tremendous. And the Airplane had a very hard time following that show. And lo and behold, the next morning in the morning paper, the headline was "Rock and Roll Band Moby Grape busted on Mount Tamalpais with underage girls in their van." And it turns out that was the reason why they were late for the show. That was just the kind of band they were. That was the Moby Grape. The Grape was terrific. I wish all today's young folks could have seen them, because they're just unstoppable. But like I say, unfortunately their recordings never really lived up to their live show. But I remember.
What about the music, Don? What was the Grape sound?
Well, like I said, there's a little bit like the Beatles on speed. Terrific harmonies, great musicianship. The drummer was just so aggressive, and they had 3 guitars. And so and each guy was a lead guitar player in his own right, weaving their parts in and out. Skip Spence was one of the guitar players. He eventually became a drummer for the Airplane. Terrific guitar player. And Peter and Jerry Jerry Miller, and these guys were incredible guitarists on their own. So these were really guitar rock songs, but not with just one lead player. It was all the leads worked together in the music. And like I said, 5-part harmonies. Each guy was a terrific singer in his own right. And you just don't see that too much that often. It was one of those things where the chemistry between them created this combustible sound that was just explosive, very aggressive, but at the same time capable of doing some beautiful ballads as well.